And I'm standing out front of Kemple Hall where I was covering these tornado warnings for almost 3 hours with our live coverage to show you there's a big difference between covering the storms and being there as they're occurring.
Yeah, and what you're looking at behind me is the current drought monitor as of this Thursday across the state. This update shows the drought continues to get worse across the area, and according to the latest data, there has not really been any decent measurable rainfall since August 18th, and that was the last day that we saw 1.46 inches of rain. Since then, we haven't really had any days other than trace amounts of.
Yeah, and as you can see behind me, there was extensive damage after a concrete truck hit the roof on the bridge that goes over Garland under the unit.
Yeah, and as a weather enthusiast and a photographer myself, I am aware of the change in the sky. Maybe you thought about it, maybe you haven't. Well, we're going to talk about that today. In today's segment of Science Behind the Weather, we're going to be talking about why is the sky bluer in the winter.
Yeah, and if you missed the first viewing opportunity this previous May, around May 10th, and you didn't see the aurora, well, this could be your chance to see another viewing opportunity. Now, what you're looking at right now is pictures from the May 10th aurora borealis that was over northwest Arkansas. And yes, it was that vibrant to the naked eye, wasn't just on camera.
Alerts here on campus, but where do you go in the event of a tornado? Well, I'm in the stairwell because I'm going to show you where to shelter.
Yeah, from the electric cars themselves to passionate electric car owners, this event was pretty electric when it came to showcasing EVs.
Yeah, and if you take a look outside behind me, look at this beautiful sky. Not a single cloud in sight, but has this always been the case for early voting or elections in general for Washington County? On Monday, November 4th, intense storms left their mark on parts of a community already scarred by storms earlier this year. Unfortunately, the communities of Rogers and Little Flock experienced another tornado.
This is where I was.
Rogers resident Diane Puckett's home was hit by the tornado. She shared her experience from the storm that hit her house.
Yeah, I saw the wind pick up and I could tell the change in the pressure was interesting, and that's when we took cover, and it was quick. You know, for some reason, I've never been in a tornado before. I was here for the one in May, and I saw the wind, heard all that, but, you know, it didn't have a direct hit here. And so I went out checking out the outside. Everything was fine, and somebody was banging on our front door to check and see if we were okay. And they said, your front porch is gone.
The National Weather Service rated this tornado an EF2. And while there was damage,
it took this window out.
The community's help prevented there from being even more damage.
So we got the tarps on the top, and that has, you know, that helped immensely to stop the water damage.
Diane says that the advance notice from forecasters on the risk for Monday helped them prepare ahead for the day, and the warnings issued helped them act quickly to seek shelter. The road to recovery from this storm may be long, but Diane and her family are grateful that it wasn't much worse.
RAS Alert Weather. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning affecting the entire...
I just received alert on my phone that a tornado warning was issued, and I received a RAS alert from the University of Arkansas. So what steps do I take now in order to ensure safety with sheltering? Early Halloween morning, students were in for a scare as a tornado-warned storm moved into the area of campus. Many were unsure what to do when the warning was issued or where to go. And last night when the tornado warning was issued, me and other residents in my building took shelter down here. This is our basement level stairwell where there's no windows, where flying debris can impact those windows and impact us. So this was the best place to shelter, lowest floor away from windows, and we have many walls between us and the outside. Sheltering on the lowest floor in the centermost room is the safest for apartments and dorm buildings. However, for students in these two-story units, they may wonder where they can go in the event of a warning. If you live in an apartment like this where the units are kind of stacked on top of each other, make sure that when a tornado warning is issued that you head down to the neighbor that is below you if you're on the upper floor. Knock on the door, they'll let you in. Make sure that you head into the centermost room, either a closet or a bathroom, and seek shelter from a tornado. In the class buildings such as Kemple Hall, some good sheltering options are areas like this center staircase that's in the middle of the building, away from doors and windows on the basement floor. So quick recap for weather safety. When a warning is issued, time is critical. Get to the lowest floor of a sturdy building in the centermost room and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Cover yourself with pillows and blankets or hard-sole shoes, and if there is a risk for severe weather, another helpful tip is packing a go bag to be prepared ahead. Hopefully these tips will prepare you for whatever Mother Nature has in store for the future.
So starting off, you have your typical diagram, the Earth, the Sun, and then the Sun is projecting white light towards the Earth. And in that white light is containing a mix of red, green, and blue light rays. Once the light hits our atmosphere, it encounters particles that end up reflecting the majority of the red and the green rays, allowing for scattering of blue in our sky. Now let's take a closer look at how the sky looks in the summer and winter months. In the summer, the sky is almost milky blue because it has more water particles able to reflect those lights. But when we get into the winter, there's less particles, the sun is at a lower angle, and we're able to see those bluer skies because of the lack of moisture and because the sun is at a different angle.
Aurora is an extremely rare viewing event for our area, and the reason we're seeing this many chances this year is because we're what's called solar maximum. What you're looking at on the screen with the big yellow circle, that was the active region of sunspots on our sun, and these produce the solar flares, specifically X-class solar flares, which are the largest. Additionally, the coronal mass ejection scan that you can see had flares directed at Earth, and there was an incredible view of the comet. Now, get your cameras ready. Make sure that you're getting your cameras ready on your phone or your camera that you have at home. The viewing line is going to be well south of Arkansas for the potential viewing, and then there is the potential that we could see viewing overhead here in northwest Arkansas. So get out your camera, put it into long exposure, night mode, whatever it is that you need to do, because it is going to be potentially fantastic.
You've probably thought about this topic before, just you don't remember it right now. The topic of discussion is, how does weather impact voting turnout? For this question, I dove into historical weather data and data in Washington County for elections. And I also spoke to leaders of the Election Commission.
Definitely have seen that maybe some days of early voting are not as busy as other days if it's heavy rain or something along those lines. But overall voter turnout is not impacted by the weather.
Even though weather hasn't interrupted Washington County elections that often, there was a couple of instances with earlier elections.
Had one event where we had a special election that was held in early winter where we were doing early vote, and the courthouse was actually closed because of a snowstorm. But we're not allowed to close because of weather. So that is one thing. Our early voting and election day, regardless of what the weather is, we must hold voting. We had 2 days of early voting, and on those days we had maybe 3 people show up the first day and maybe 5 people showed up the second day. But that definitely was impacted on those days for early voting, but the overall voter turnout remained the same.
Sometimes the weather can make it inconvenient for voters to make it to the polls, so there's a couple different options. There's various early polling locations, or you can vote by mail. Fortunately, as the years progress, we don't see that many impacts anymore. This is due to extended early voting. And for Washington County, we have been particularly lucky when it comes to presidential elections. Since 2004, there haven't been any major disruptions to a presidential election week when it came to weather impacting the elections. So if it's a day like today where the sun is out, the skies are blue, there's no inclement weather, get out and vote.